The story I am about to tell you doesn't begin when my sister grabbed the microphone. It begins much earlier. It begins at the moment when I chose to ignore the feeling that something was wrong. And maybe you've been through this too. That quiet inner warning that whispers that something is out of place. But you push it away because the truth hurts more than the illusion. That night, my home was lit as if waiting for the perfect celebration. Candles on the table, glasses aligned in a straight line, napkins folded like flowers. Every detail had been chosen by me. I wanted the engagement dinner to be special. I wanted people to walk in and think that this would be the beginning of a beautiful life. And maybe that's why I ignored everything that bothered me in the days leading up to it. My fiancé was calm, smiling, greeting guests, soaking in compliments. He held my hand and brushed his thumb over my skin, and that gave me a sense of security. Or at least I thought it did. My family was gathered, close friends were talking, and the atmosphere felt warm. But, as always, only the surface was peaceful. Beneath it, something was boiling. My sister arrived a few minutes later. She walked through the door as if cameras were following her. Wearing that big, exaggerated smile she used whenever she wanted to be the center of attention. She hugged me tightly, but her eyes were not on me. They were on him. On my fiancé, and I saw it. I pretended not to, but I did. And you know how it is. The heart notices long before the mind accepts it. I went back inside the room and tried to focus on the decorations, the music, the smell of food, anything that could distract me from the unease growing inside me. Small details here and there. The way she touched her hair when he spoke, the way she laughed at everything he said, even things that weren't remotely funny. The way she angled her body toward him, things anyone else would notice instantly. Anyone except me, because I didn't want to see. When the guests were finally seated, dinner began. I heard the sound of cutlery, overlapping conversations, the soft crackle of candles burning. This was supposed to be my moment. And yet I felt uneasy. I didn't know exactly why, but I felt that something was about to happen. My fiancé stood up. He held his glass and smiled. He said a few words about gratitude, love, commitment. Beautiful words. I looked at him with a full heart. Everything seemed perfect. But then my sister raised her glass too. A little higher than everyone else, I noticed, and once again, pretended not to. The atmosphere shifted. It's hard to explain, but I felt a sort of invisible silence crossing the room. My fiancé placed the microphone back on the stand and smiled at me, as if saying that now all I had to do was enjoy the night. That's when my sister placed her hand on the microphone. She walked up to it with firm steps, as if she knew exactly what she was about to do. And at that moment, I swear to you, I felt the urge to stand up, grab her hand, and stop her. Not because I knew what was coming, but because something inside me begged me not to let her speak. But it was too late. The music faded. The conversations died. The laughter evaporated like smoke. The entire room was staring at her. My heart was beating fast, but I stayed still, trying to understand what was happening. My sister took a deep breath, held the microphone tightly, and said, "I need to say something." She scanned the room, then turned her face toward me. And in that exact second, I felt a chill crawl down my spine, the kind of chill that warns you that a violent truth is about to be revealed. Then she said it. "I am in love with your fiancé." I couldn't react. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't blink. Everything inside me froze. The entire room froze. It was as if time had been sucked into a black hole and trapped there, suspended between reality and disbelief. My fiancé widened his eyes. My mother dropped her napkin. My father frowned in confusion. Some people stood up. Others covered their mouths. Several began recording, as if this were entertainment and not the destruction of my life happening in real time. My sister kept staring at me. There was no regret, no hesitation. It was almost as if she felt relieved to finally release that truth. And in that second, I understood that everything had changed. Everything. Everything. The dinner that was supposed to mark the beginning of my new life became the moment when my own sister chose to wound me in the cruelest way possible. And this is the point, exactly here, where the real story begins. For a few seconds, after my sister confessed she was in love with my fiancé, I could not hear anything. It was as if my body had muted the world just to protect me. But then the sound came rushing back all at once. Gasps, whispers, chairs scraping, the crackle of someone's camera recording. It was like being thrown underwater and forced back to the surface without warning. And if you've ever been publicly blindsided, you know exactly how that feels. Your skin burns. Your thoughts scatter. Your breath disappears even though your lungs keep begging for more air. My sister kept her eyes fixed on me, and I could not tell if she wanted me to break or wanted me to fight. Maybe both. I saw something in her expression that I still don't know how to name. Hunger, envy, desperation, maybe a twisted sense of victory. I could not read her, and that was the part that scared me most. My fiancé stood up so abruptly that the chair rocked behind him. He grabbed the microphone from her hand without asking, without hesitating, and said, with a firm voice that still cracked at the edges, "That's not true." The entire room inhaled at once, a single, sharp breath shared by dozens of people. But even then, even with him denying it, a small, poisonous seed of doubt slid into my chest. Because the truth is this: when someone confesses something outrageous in front of witnesses, your mind instinctively asks, what if there's a piece of this I never saw? And yes, I hated myself for thinking that. My mother pressed her hands against her lips. My father crossed his arms, as if preparing for some kind of family battle. My relatives exchanged uncomfortable glances. A friend of mine looked at me with pity, and I hated that look more than all the whispers. I stood up slowly. My legs were shaking, my heart beat so hard I thought the whole room could hear it. And for a moment, I genuinely believed I might faint. My sister took a step toward me. I took a step back. That tiny movement told everyone in the room that whatever this was, it was real. "I'm not lying," she said softly. I couldn't hide it anymore. Do you know that feeling when someone claims to be the victim while setting fire to your life? I do. I tried to speak, but no sound came out. My fiancé placed a hand on my back, a small gesture meant to reassure me, but it didn't. It only made me wonder how many times she had felt that same touch. And yes, that thought stabbed me in a way I was not prepared for. "Enough," I finally managed to say. "If this is some kind of joke, it ends now." My voice trembled, but it existed. That alone felt like a victory. Some guests started whispering again. Others kept filming. And I kept thinking, what kind of person pulls out their phone to record someone else's humiliation? My sister lowered her gaze as if she were the one wounded. It was twisted. Completely twisted. My fiancé stepped forward and said loudly, "There is nothing between us." Nothing. But even he looked shaken. His voice wasn't the same one he used in moments of certainty. It was the voice of someone who didn't expect to be dragged into a nightmare and was trying to find footing in a storm. The room hung on his every word, but the damage was already done. Once a bomb goes off, no amount of explanation can unshatter what broke. I took a breath so deep it hurt. Then I said the only thing my mind could form. "Let's settle this right now." A murmur rippled across the room like a wave. My sister stepped back again. She clutched her hands together as if bracing for impact, but she didn't apologize. She didn't retract a single word. She just let the chaos swallow the night whole. In that exact moment, I understood something I had never allowed myself to consider. This wasn't about love. This wasn't about my fiancé. This was about her wanting something of mine simply because it was mine. And that realization hit harder than the confession itself. My fiancé held my hand tightly. He whispered something like, "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." But the truth is, his reassurance felt thin, fragile, paper-like. Because now, every word needed proof. The dinner collapsed after that. Some guests left early, some stayed just to gossip. Some avoided eye contact entirely. My carefully prepared evening died on the floor of that living room the moment my sister claimed my future as if it belonged to her. But the moment that truly marked me came later. My sister ran toward the exit, tears in her eyes, pretending to be the one betrayed. Her footsteps echoed down the hallway, and the door closed with a force that shook the silence. I stood alone for a second. Barely breathing, barely existing. My fiancé tried to pull me in for a hug, but I raised my hand to stop him. "Not yet," I whispered. "Do you know why I said that? Because something inside me told me that this wasn't the whole truth. That there was more hidden beneath the surface. That the cut was deeper than what had just been revealed. And I was right. The real blow was still coming. The part that would force me to question everything I believed about loyalty, about family, and about the man I planned to marry. And if you want to hear how this night completely broke the life I thought I had, stay with me for part 3. Because the truth that came next was darker than anything she said into that microphone. If this story already hit you in the chest, tell me in the comments what you would have done in my place. Your perspective matters. And it helps more than you think. I wish I could tell you the night ended when my sister ran out of the room. That her confession was the peak of the disaster. But betrayal never ends at the first blow. It deepens in the silence that comes after. As the chaos settled, guests slipped out in uncomfortable waves. Some whispered apologies. Others avoided looking at me at all. My engagement dinner, once a celebration, was now the wreckage of a moment I had dreamed about my whole life. My fiancé and I stood among untouched plates and flickering candles, the room frozen in a version of happiness that no longer existed. My hands were trembling when I saw something on the floor. My sister's purse. She had left it behind in her dramatic exit. Something inside me whispered, "Look, just look." I opened the purse, not out of malice, but out of survival. And there it was. A hotel keycard. Room Lambay Isher Sith. My fiancé's face went pale the second he saw it. He closed his eyes slowly, as if bracing for a truth he never intended to face. "What is this?" I asked. My voice was too calm, almost unnatural. "It's not what you think," he said, words that never mean what they claim. I waited. He said nothing. "Did you meet her?" I finally asked. His silence answered for him. "And here's the truth that cut deeper than anything," she confessed at the microphone. He wasn't guilty of cheating. He was guilty of a secret. He had met her that same morning, not because he wanted her, but because she had begged him to meet privately. She told him she had something important to say about me. He showed me a photo she sent him earlier that day. A picture of me. Taken through a window. Taken without my knowledge. My breath caught. "Why do you have this?" She said you were in danger. She said she needed to explain something before tonight. Danger. From what? From whom? Or was this another twisted manipulation she crafted to drag him closer? He told me she cried in the hotel room, told him she had feelings for him long before he and I met, told him she felt lost. He said he rejected her. He said he walked out, but the damage wasn't in the meeting. It was in the silence. He didn't tell me she reached out. He didn't tell me she was spiraling. He didn't tell me he met her in a hotel room on the morning of our engagement dinner. He decided to hide it. And that silence allowed the entire disaster to happen. There are two kinds of betrayal. The one that comes from the person who hurts you, and the one that comes from the person who should have protected you. I wasn't angry that he met her. I was angry that he hid it. That he thought deception was easier than honesty. That he believed I couldn't handle the truth. My knees nearly gave out. I sat down. "All of this could have been avoided," I whispered. "All of it. I didn't want to ruin tonight," he said. But the night was already ruined. Not because of my sister, but because of the secrets he thought I didn't deserve to hear. Morning brought a silence heavier than the night before. He handed me coffee and sat across from me like a man waiting for judgment. "I want to fix this," he said. "I'll do anything." But did I still want him by my side? I looked at him, not as the man I loved, but as the man who made a terrible mistake. Not out of malice, but out of fear. And I made a choice. The morning after everything collapsed, I walked through the house like someone moving across the ruins of a place that once felt safe. It was unsettling to see the same living room, the same table, the same decorations, yet feel that none of it belonged to the person I had been before that night. It was like stepping inside an old photograph where I no longer recognized myself. My fiancé sat on the couch, perfectly still, as if afraid that any movement might break me even more. Maybe he was right. The truth is, at that moment, I didn't know what was keeping me together. He spoke first. "I don't want to lose you." The sentence hung in the air like a plea. But I was still too hurt to know whether it came from love or from panic. Still, I remained standing there, silent, because before deciding our future, I needed to understand what had really happened in my story. Not the story of the dinner. Not the story of the scandal. My story. I sat down on the far end of the couch. Not close to him, not yet. I needed emotional distance before I could even think clearly. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. He looked down, and for the first time since all of this began, I saw fear. Not fear of losing me. Fear of facing the truth he avoided in that hotel room. "I thought I was protecting you," he said. Protecting. The word echoed inside me like a cracked bell. Because protecting someone is not hiding the truth. It is preparing them, standing beside them, facing the storm with them. And he hadn't faced anything, not when it mattered. I took a long breath. The kind you take before making a decision that will change everything. "If you want to stay with me," I said quietly, you're going to have to start being honest, even when the truth hurts." He nodded. Not like someone repeating rehearsed apologies, but like a man who finally understood the weight of silence. Then came the hardest part. Facing my family. Later that afternoon, my mother knocked on the door. She stepped inside cautiously, as if crossing into forbidden ground. I could see guilt in her eyes. That mix of shock and shame from having witnessed one daughter tear down the other in front of everyone. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. I told her the only thing that felt true. "Don't say anything. Just listen." So I told her everything. Not yelling. Not accusing. Just the truth. The strange messages. The behavior in the days before the dinner. The hotel meeting. The silence. I told her about the fear I felt when I realized I no longer recognized the two people who were supposed to stand closest to me. And for the first time in years, she didn't try to minimize anything. She just listened. When I finished, she said, "You shouldn't have to carry this alone," and she was right, but I had carried it. Because ignoring pain always feels easier than confronting it. My sister didn't show up that day. Or the next, or the week after. She sent long, tangled messages, some apologizing, others accusing, all trying to justify the unjustifiable. I read them, but I didn't respond. Not out of vengeance. But because healing requires distance, and I needed distance from her. That's when my rebuilding began. My fiancé and I sat down and renegotiated everything, not just the wedding dates. We rebuilt expectations, boundaries, transparency. He tried, truly tried, and for the first time since the crisis began, I felt that maybe there was something left to save. Not who we were, but who we could become if both of us chose courage. The following days were quiet. A different kind of quiet. Not the silence of distance, the silence of healing. The kind that prepares the ground for growth. Then came the moment that marked our restart. I found our wedding invitations on the table. I picked them up, sat beside him, and said, "Let's choose a new date." He looked at me with a relief so deep it almost softened everything that had happened. Almost. Because sometimes a story of destruction is really a story of revelation. Sometimes something has to break, so you can finally see who's willing to stay after the floor collapses. My sister remained distant. Not because I wanted revenge, but because some people need to stay far away while you rebuild yourself. And that was my greatest lesson. This wasn't about losing the engagement. It wasn't about saving the wedding. It wasn't about choosing to stay or leave. It was about discovering that I'm stronger than I ever imagined. It was about learning to say no. It was about understanding that love without truth is not love. And if you're listening to this now, maybe you're going through something that has shaken your world. Maybe you've been betrayed, humiliated, exposed. Maybe you're trying to gather your pieces and make sense of everything. Let me tell you something I wish I had heard that night. You do not have to hold on to what destroys you just to prove you're strong. You only need to stand up. Even trembling. Even wounded. Even unsure of where to go next. Stand up, and now, before we finish, I want to ask you something. If this story touched you, comment below saying I rise. Share this video with someone who needs strength. Leave a like so this message can reach more people, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next chapter, where I share how I rebuilt not only my emotional life, but my financial power as well. Thank you for staying with me until the end. I'll see you in the next video.